to say about Don tonight. His wife, Melissa, reminded me that when he was introducing me at an Atlanta bar event several years ago, he began his introduction with, "Seen one prosecutor, seen them all." But I can assure you that in Don's case, if you've seen one criminal defense attorney, you have not seen them all. You know, I've often told people, and Don doesn't know this, that if I were in trouble and I needed a criminal defense attorney, Don is the person I would want to turn to. Now, I probably would be something of a difficult client, and so I'm not sure that Don would want to take me on, but the fact of the matter is, you know, there's some lawyers out there that are really great trial lawyers. You can count on them to be able to try the heck out of the case, and there are others who are really good in those pre-indictment negotiations, and they can convince the government not to go forward, and others are great appellate lawyers. But Don is the total package. He doesn't just do all of that, he excels at it all. They told him that they wanted him to go to Griffin, Georgia to see a woman in jail there who had been arrested for killing her husband. And his instructions were pretty direct. They were, don't come back from Griffin until the case is ready to be tried. So Don dutifully went to Griffin, and at about 9 o'clock, a little before 9 the next morning, he called the office and wanted to speak to somebody, anybody there, who could tell him what an arraignment was, because apparently he was about to go represent her at an arraignment. Well, Don came a long way after that, and I personally was on the other side of the courtroom with Don on a number of occasions. And despite the fact that I knew I was going to be up against the most formidable opponent that I could imagine, I always welcomed cases with Don. And that's because I so admired how Don went about carrying out his responsibility to zealously represent his clients, to give it absolutely everything that he's got, and to hold the government to its burden of proof. He was doing everything that he could to try to make sure that the system actually works. And I knew that Don was going to be fair and ethical and scrupulously honest in doing it. You know, I asked Melissa if Don had any particularly meaningful cases over the course of his career, and he had told her that, well, certainly the death penalty cases that he had handled, where he was able to obtain a life sentence instead of a death sentence, that those were obviously important, and that there were lots of memorable, big, high-profile cases from Ray Lewis and the Gold Club and scores of others. But he pointed out that the most gratifying cases are oftentimes not the big, high-profile cases, but rather, in his words, when you make a big impact on an ordinary person's life. That's why you want Don Samuel by your side. It's my privilege on behalf of the Southern Center for Human Rights to present the Luminary Award to my friend Don Samuel.
Thank you, Sally. You know, when I heard that Sally won the Luminary Award last year, it was not a great surprise that I would win it this year. After all, there are so many similarities between me and Sally. We both have daughters who graduated from Paideia together in 2011. We both have sons who played together on the ASA soccer team in DeKalb County on the same team. We both live in Druid Hills. We both graduated from UGA Law School, both have talented, successful spouses. We both practiced in the criminal justice system ever since graduating from UGA Law School. The only real difference, between Sally and me is that, I represent people who are charged with child molestation, creating child pornography, terrorism, gang cases, possession of contraband, selling methamphetamine and cocaine. And Sally, you know, when she was the acting Attorney General of the United States, she defied the president. to protect the rights and the dignity of people all around the world. So, you know, we're really very similar people. And, just this very small little divergence in our career paths. Well, I should point out too, I think, one more difference. Sally, I've never been fired from a job. 10 days she lasted. Like a Scaramucci or something. I've been with the same firm for 39 years and nobody's threatened to fire me. Like Chris, you know, I can't think of an award that is really more meaningful to me and more humbling than an award from the Southern Center for Human Rights. I have been practicing law now for 39 years. And looking back from the vantage point of this podium and this bright, shining moment, I have to admit that at times I am discouraged, I am disillusioned, and in fact I am rather pessimistic. At times I am discouraged by the indignities that are visited upon our clients who have done nothing to deserve such indignities, the cruelties imposed on many of our clients who have not done anything to deserve cruel treatment, the denial or imposition of excessive bond for people for minor offenses, the mishandling of people who obviously are so desperately in need of mental health treatment, the condition of the jails and the prisons, I mean even the lockups in the courthouses are just deplorable. The imposition of prison sentences of 10, 15, 20 years. But when I started practicing law, the same people would be sentenced to 1 year, 5 years, in some cases just a civil sanction for their conduct. I'm often disillusioned by the press that often sensationalizes cases in such superficial ways, fail to consider so many of the troubling aspects of the criminal justice system, prosecutorial decision-making. I'm pessimistic about the Georgia State Legislature, which, like the Congress of the United States, is just disgraceful when it comes to criminal justice issues. They talk about war on crime, they talk about a war on drugs, which signals to me what the legislators are thinking about. That collateral damage is okay, that creating misery and suffering on a wide scale, which we would expect in a war, but hardly in a criminal justice system. I fear that I'm going to end up leaving the criminal justice system when I retire. My children will ever get out of school. I fear that I will leave the criminal justice system not in much better shape than when I started practicing in 1980. And in many ways, it's really gotten worse. Well, I've been able to help a few individuals avoid the purgatory of a lengthy prison sentence. When you consider the fact that there are just hundreds of thousands of people arrested in this state every year, there's 50,000 people serving prison sentences now, I often think that my small effort amounts to nothing more than a grain of sand on a beach that just stretches for miles and miles. So I am disillusioned, I am discouraged, and I am pessimistic. I've been practicing law for 39 years, and I look back from this vantage point, this podium, in this shining moment, and I want to tell you something. I am encouraged, I am optimistic, and I am inspired. I am encouraged when I appear before judges, many of whom are here tonight, who are sometimes labeled as activists because they are willing to find new rights for people accused of crimes. They are willing to enforce more rigorously traditional rights. There are appellate judges who are here tonight who probably would feel a lot more comfortable with their Federalist Society brethren. But they are here because they want to hear from us, and they want to protect people, even people who were rightfully accused of criminal conduct. I feel optimistic when I appear occasionally at the legislature with Sarah Tatanchi for many years, and Jack Martin, who I saw here tonight, and Sandy Michaels. The three of us did a lot of lobbying over the years at the Georgia legislature. And over those years, we were able to work with law professors, with prosecutors, with legislators, and come up with the new Discovery Act, to come up with new forfeiture laws, much improved forfeiture laws in the last year, and of course with the new evidence code. And all of these events occurred because the legislature was willing to work with us, law professors and the prosecutors, in a collaborative effort to try to improve the criminal justice system. I am impressed and inspired by certain members of the press. Bill Rankin, who I know is here somewhere tonight, and see him tonight. Certainly the best of the reporters who cover the courts in our state. Someone who's willing to expose the inhumanity of the death penalty and the brutal treatment that people are suffering in our penal institutions. And I am really inspired by the work of the Southern Center for Human Rights and its devoted staff, by the Georgia Justice Project, by the Fulton County PD's office, which is so much better improved over the last 30 years, Claudia Sari and the DeKalb County Public Defenders, and perhaps most of all, the incredible work of all my friends at the Federal Defenders. I'm inspired most of all by a room full of lawyers and non-lawyers like you. People who know that we need to help people who have done things that are not acceptable. Lawyers like Steve Bright, the Nobel laureate of individual rights. I'm inspired by my partners and the people who work at my firm. Ed, who is trying a case, of course, in Valdosta, and his son John Garland, trying a case in Valdosta now. Robin, Amanda, Kristen, Ann, David, I gotta look at my notes, Lucas, and the staff, Hassan, Donna, Susan, Tori, Rhonda, Gavin. I think you all know that you all mean the world to me. Your hard work and your loyalty to the firm is really just astounding to me. But finally, from this vantage point, at this shining moment in time, what I feel most of all is honored to be one of you. To have made a career, a life in your presence, following your examples, learning from your courage and your insights and leadership, and never feeling alone in the trenches, always knowing that I had allies like you out there. This has been really one of the great honors of my life. Practicing criminal defense for a living is not easy. Those of us who do it day in and day out. We don't have blisters on our feet. We don't have calluses on our hands. We don't end up getting workers' comp for back injuries. But it is exhausting, and it is stressful, and it often yields very little in terms of rewards for all of our hard work. We leave the comfort of our homes, families, to live in some motel on the side of an interstate for 5 weeks. We do everything we can to try to help our client, to save our client. Maybe it's a death penalty case, maybe it's a white-collar crime case. Trying to save our client from a lengthy sentence, week after week, only to see our hard work result in a conviction and an unbearably long sentence. This is a frustrating occupation we are in. We lose a lot of cases. We lose more cases than we win. We lose cases that we should have won. We lose cases when we outthink and outwork and outmaneuver the opposition. Even my kids have learned that when I come home after a trial, they never say, "Did you win?" They just say, "How long did you keep him out?" way to keep him out, Dad. You know, if I could keep him out for an hour, that was what Alan Bateman always calls a technical verdict of acquittal. Like a TKO. You know, back in the late 1980s, I was working with Ed Tolley in a case, the mail bomber case. You may remember back in the 80s. And I told him it was really hard losing so often, so many times. And Ed said to me, you know, Don, practicing criminal defense is a lot like playing golf. You put the ball on the tee, you get your best driver, you hit the ball, it hooks to the left and goes in the pond. I hate this game. You put the ball on the tee, you get the driver, you hit the ball, it goes straight down the fairway and then slices into the woods. God, I hate this game. You put the ball on the tee, it goes straight down the fairway, and of course it lands in a sand trap. I hate this game. And you put the ball on the tee, and you hit it with the driver. It goes straight down the fairway. It hits the back of the green on top of the sand trap, and the ball starts rolling back. And as the ball is rolling back, the clerk announces, the jury has a verdict. And the ball is rolling back, and it's a hole-in-one. I love practicing criminal defense law. In this moment of time, what you all decide.